Bobby Slowik was really interesting in his press conference this week, which is a good thing because the offense is interesting in a bad way. Why? Why has it not reached these ethereal heights that we all dreamed of in the offseason? We know a big part of it is the run game. They haven't really had one since Joe Mixon left with his never-ending ankle injury. He's not playing this week in case you didn't get the news. And Bobby spoke about just how urgent it is to get this run game going.
It's really, the run game is one where everybody has to be tied together. I think we keep referencing how close we are as far as like the conviction in what we're doing, and that showing up on tape regardless of what we're going against. We had it the first week against Indianapolis, and then what happens usually is you start going against different schemes, and it plays out very different, and then it kind of weighs you down for a while, and it's taken longer than we all would have wanted to get back to what we want to do across the board. And then once that's rolling, which it's starting to get there, and then everybody's seeing it the same way. The back seeing the same spot that he has to hit, the O-line really seeing the same crease that we want to get to. And that takes time. We got to we're running out of time, but we got to get to a point where everybody's seeing it the same way pretty fast. And that's what we mean when we say close. It's showing up more now than it has in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, things change. Why can't everybody be the Indianapolis Colts? Why? Why do you have to actually play competent defense and change your fronts and move from a 4-3 to a 3-4 and to show sim blitzes and then drop back up into? It's hard. It's really hard. And this offensive line has succumb to all the chicanery and trickery that defenses can provide. And there are guys getting beat physically at times, but there's also a lot of instances where they're just the offensive line, the tight ends, the fullbacks, the tight ends playing fullback. They're just not on the same page. And you go back to last week, and it seemed like so many times there's just one guy screwing up. Everybody else is doing the right thing, or the back isn't making the right read. So when Bobby says it's close, I get it. I understand because it does feel that way. Okay, it's just one little thing. Fix this one little thing and we'll get it. Which, of course, leads to the question, hey, why not just let CJ cook? Let him sit back there in the gun and dice it all up.
It's fun to throw the ball with CJ and to get the ball out to the guys we have and just get the ball to him in space. And, hey, let's do this all the time. Let's do this all the time. Let's do this all the time. But after a while, like that can wear on different aspects that you don't think about. I know I've referenced before how the run game actually helps protection. It can help receivers take some snaps off so that the next rep, when they got a route that they got to run, they can run that full gas and they can set up a leverage they want to set up because we set it up in the run game, not on a pass play. And it really all ties together, and the conviction in that all the way across the board.
And I 100% wholeheartedly agree with everything he says. If you want a truly powerful, all cylinders firing, championship caliber offense, you want to tie the run game and the pass game together. And it's not just all the old cliches about running the ball to set up the play action. The one thing that I actually appreciate about Bill Belichick or Kyle Shanahan, obviously Kyle Shanahan's more relevant to the Texans right now since they base so many of the things on his same philosophies, is the physiology of playing football. There's things you can do to wear defenses down over the course of a game. It's not as simple as just running the ball down their throat, but getting them to run sideline to sideline. But then also, as Bobby alluded to, keeping your receivers fresh enough that when they're running their routes, even if they're secondary routes, that they're full bore 100% and ideally set up for success by the play calling in the run game. So that is Bobby's challenge right now. It's not whether his philosophy is right or really even whether his play calling is right. It's the execution of the play calling. So that's on the offensive coordinator too. I think sometimes people think about offensive coordinator as being synonymous with play caller. They're two separate but very related things. Yeah, call the right plays, but then execute the right plays. And they just haven't had good execution on the offensive line. One player that the Texans do get back this week, at least as of right now, is wide receiver Tank Dell. Listen closely to the very beginning of what Bobby says about Tank. Profound observation.
Tank's fast. There's people that you say are fast, but Tank's a different level of speed that you feel on the field. Nico, I think Nico hits GPS that other people on our team rarely, if ever, hit. So without a doubt, Nico's fast also. It just feels different when it's Tank. Something about his stride, his turnover. It gets on DBs very, very quickly. And when you can run the route tree the way he runs it and get in and out of breaks like he can get in and out of breaks and how fast he comes out of them, that just becomes really hard to cover really fast. So the more we can help isolate him when needed, and in particular when teams are taking away Nico, when they're taking away Steph, when they're worried about other matchups on Dalton. It's just a great way for us to isolate a one-on-one that we have supreme confidence in.
Yeah, and obviously I was joking about the profound observation, but it is something that you rediscover every time you revisit some Tank Dell highlight reels. Like, oh yeah, this is a different level of fast. You can't even quite picture it in your brain because it doesn't match up with the norms that you have in your brain about what fast is. And two things about that. One is I do think that as the Texans have faced more cover two than any other team in the league, it's taken a little bit of time for CJ to adjust to the timing and the rhythm that comes with that. Because he knows intellectually, all right, I got to be more conservative sometimes, take the easy money, check it down. But there's still a timing and a rhythm to that that's different than the way they played last year or the way they had played at training camp. The other part of it with Tank, too, is I love the stress that it puts on a defense when Tank Dell is in motion behind the line of scrimmage. Because it's different. It's different than just the normal old school plotting from one side to the other. And Luke Kuechly actually talked about this with Daniel Jeremiah and Bucky Brooks this week. It's really interesting. And just picture Tank Dell in your mind as he's talking about Deebo Samuel.
Like, hey, we're playing the San Francisco 49ers, and they line up in 2x2, and Deebo Samuel is running Mach 5 across the formation. I don't know if he's getting the ball. I don't know if he's running a pass route. Now I have to get, hey, is this zoom motion? Because if it's zoom, I have to bump. It's just the more speed that happens pre-snap on the offensive side of the ball, the more stress it puts on a defense. And it makes playing the run game really hard because you can't get downhill. All your movement as a backer is lateral. Mm-hmm. It's just stress on the defense is caused by pre-snap motion and the speed at which they do it.
Yes, stress on the defense. Chaos, all those things, anything Tank Dell can do to help out not just the passing game, but the running game, except for blocking on goal line. Anything at all in the world, except for multiple little things that I don't want Tank doing. But I am excited to see Tank coming back onto this team as hopefully the offense is starting to get a feel for exactly how things need to click and work with the coverages they're seeing this year. And by the way, everything that teams have tweaked their defenses to do to try to limit the aerial attack of the Texans, this is what the Bills do naturally. They play a boatload of cover 2 and cover 6, so the Bills don't really have to tweak all that much. It's a really, really good challenge for the Texans this week. And Bobby spoke about the challenges of facing the Bills defense. First thing he mentioned was pass rush.
Pass rush shows up. You know, they get to the quarterback pretty fast. It might not always be winning rushes, but they condense it really fast. They know how to run games. They don't run a ton of pressures, but when they do, they know how to work it with not just fellow D linemen, but other backers, other DBs, to create clean picks up front.
So I'm guilty of this myself. I got lulled into this feeling of, hey, the Bills don't blitz a lot, and the Texans have actually been showing okay performance versus 4-man pass rushes. So they'll be just, that's when they get you. You got to be like Braveheart and sniff out the ambush. Don't be like Mel Gibson, the actor. But be like Braveheart. At least the movie version of Braveheart. I'm sure William Wallace was all kinds of fucked up in real life. But the movie version of Braveheart. Another thing that I maybe got a little bit too complacent or confident in was, hey, the Bills aren't all that good of a rushing defense. Maybe this will be the opportunity for the Texans to get the run game going, because by way of their coverages and by way of their defense and how it's constructed, they almost like concede the run a little bit. They're almost intentionally softer versus the run. Not that they're trying to let you run on them, but that's just the way they line up. Bobby said, hey, Seth, slow the hell down there, you cocky mofo.
And then in the run game, they play really sound. I know the stat they have as far as like what their run statistics are, but they actually play a pretty solid run defense. When I watched the tape, Baltimore seemed far more like an anomaly than the norm. They had some mental mistakes that happened that created some plays that really haven't shown up on their tape. They might give some yards in the run game, but over the course of a game, they don't believe you're going to keep doing it and keep doing it. Eventually, they're going to get you to a third down, and they're pretty good in third down. So it's a challenge for us.
I know it's not really fair for me to put a Derrick Henry highlight up there because I don't think there's a current healthy Texans running back who's quite like Derrick Henry. Call me crazy. But look, at the end of the day, yes, that's Buffalo's methodology. They're going to let you get some yardage, but it's hard to drive the whole field like that. That's where tying the run game and the pass game together all comes in. Put yourself in positions where you're in third and manageable or third and short instead of third and long all the freaking time. And then Penalties. Yes, I know. Penalties. I know. But I think it's going to be a hell of a football game. Really looking forward to this. And thanks again to BetUS for sponsoring this video. Use that promo code YouTube150 to get a 150% bonus on your first deposit and then 125% bonuses on your second and third deposit all the way up to $2,000.